Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Daytime Blue Ridge. I'm Natalie Fonce. During the last several months, I've had the privilege to once again travel around our beautiful region to explore all there is to see and do that is simply in a day's drive. Whether it's a romantic getaway or a family adventure, we go to a lot of cool places. And tonight we're sharing some of those adventures with you. And new this year, we take you along the Bedford Wine Trail, a trail that takes you to scenic vineyards where you can leave your worries behind. So sit back, relax, and experience all the fun that is in a day's drive.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by If you are looking for a family adventure, a relaxing getaway, or an activity that will test your athletic ability, Massanutten Resort is the place for you. The property features 6,000 acres of mountain fun all year round. The activities you can find here are endless. From the indoor-outdoor water park activities to the skiing and snow sports in the winter, there's always something to do no matter when you plan your visit.
Massanutten is an awesome place for families to be. It's an awesome place for young couples to be. Outdoor activities, so much to do all in this one spot, and then lots to do right outside of that spot.
For my visit, I was looking for some heart-pumping action, and I found it. I started the day here at the Family Adventure Park. I decided to check out the Mega Zip Line, an 800-foot plunge where you can reach speeds of up to 30 miles an hour.
So how long is this mega zip?
I geared up and hopped on the moving walkway that takes you up the mountain. Once up on the platform, you can race a friend or go at it alone and simply enjoy the freeing sensation of whizzing through the air at top speeds. Once safely on the platform, it's time to get down. So be ready to auto-belay to the ground, which was something that gave me a bit of anxiety. You grab the rope, jump out.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!
And pray.
Oh gosh.
And fortunately, I found this was super easy.
First step is awful.
If you want a little more of a zip experience, there's the Canopy Tour, a ropes tour through the forest that takes you all through bridges, hanging vines, and zip lines.
You do have to be 9 years old and 70 pounds to be on the Canopy Tour. It's a great thing for kids and adults. You go in a group of 8, so a lot of times a family will be with another family. It's a good interaction, get to know people. You're guided through the entire process with 2 sets of guides. It's a good time. Everybody loves it.
For a bit more of an adrenaline rush, do some summer tubing.
Little kids love it. They sit down in that tube and they have a great time just flying down the hill, giggling and squealing. And the adults seem to like it too.
That's like a roller coaster.
It's just like winter tubing. It's like sledding down the hill.
But don't take Jonathan's word for it. Just ask the kids.
It was fast.
Yeah.
And fun. I wanted to go 1,000 times.
If your child wants more of a challenge, send them over to the Kids Adventure course. This course is filled with plenty of obstacles for them to navigate through, including log crossing, swinging vine bridges, and a 100-foot zip line. One of the most recent draws here to Massanutten has been mountain biking. Since the Shenandoah Valley is known as a mecca for mountain bikers, it was only fitting that Massanutten would offer a downhill mountain bike park for riders of all levels.
This is our first full year. A lot of people have been getting really interested in it this year. We offer some easier trails for beginners with lesson packages. We offer full downhill bike rentals, so you don't have to have any of the equipment. You come here, we'll set you up, just need to be able to ride a bicycle.
I decided to check it out. I got suited up, complete with knee pads, elbow pads, and helmet, and I was ready to go. Jonathan went over the basics so I was comfortable with the bike before we headed up the mountain. Once I was ready, we headed up the ski lift. The park features access to both the beginner trails and more advanced black diamond trails on these ski lifts. Since I was a beginner, we got off at the lower lift, which dropped us off right where we needed to go. The trail winds through the woods along a well-maintained path. It had a slight downhill grade, but nothing too challenging. Jonathan walked me through it, helping me navigate my way down the mountain, and was with me every step of the way.
You did not make me nervous. You might have been nervous, but you did not make me nervous, and that's the big part. We'll take you down, we'll help you watch your speed, we give instruction on turning, braking, that kind of stuff. We'll get you down the mountain in a safe manner.
But if you're a more experienced rider, they've got you covered as well.
Then we do have some gnarlier stuff for those advanced mountain bikers that want to blast down steep rocky things. We also have a jump trail, one of the better ones on the East Coast, with 50 jumps on our jump trail. It's quite a lot. You're worn out by the end.
But a warning, after experiencing the thrill of the trails here, you may want to go again.
We've had people come and it's like, oh, that was so much fun. They come back the next day or come back at the same visit, they're there, and they said, oh, I got to start looking at bicycles. And I'm like, well, sorry, I introduced an expensive hobby.
So whether it's thrills on the ground or high up in the sky, you'll find a memorable adventure here at Massanutten Resort. The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by For a great getaway or an afternoon adventure, be sure to check out the Bedford Wine Trail in the scenic region of Bedford County. The trail consists of 6 wineries, all with unique wines and scenery to enjoy. But before you go, stop in here at the Bedford Welcome Center to pick up your trail map and brochure. This map will help you find your way, and the passport is for each winery to stamp. Collect all 6 and return for a special gift. You'll love it, I guarantee. My first stop on the trail, Leo Grand Vineyards and Winery. This gorgeous, sprawling winery located in Good was a lifelong dream for owner and winemaker Norman Leo Grand, a dream that started as a young boy.
Where I got the incentive to be here and to do this really was my grandfather, who was a winemaker in Italy. And when he moved to this country, and of course I was born here, but I used to help him as a little boy in his winery, which was in his basement, you know, with his barrels and his wine and so forth. And it just struck me at that point that I said, that is what I want to do someday, and that is what I want to be someday.
So for years, Norman saved and eventually came upon farmland in this part of Bedford. He knew it was the perfect setting for his winery. And as you look around, you can see why.
What you see behind me used to be tobacco fields before Norman bought it about 27 years ago. Today, visitors can enjoy 8 different varieties of wine, all while taking in a beautiful view of Sharp Top and the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Norman showed me around his property and pointed out the grapes he says grows best here, many of which go against the grain as to what is recommended in this region.
I do a Barbera, I do a Sangiovese, I do a Nebbiolo. The Syrah was highly not recommended. Sauvignon Blanc that I grow was not recommended. I also do a Chardonnay and now a Chambourcin and Cab Franc.
I decided to try them myself. A couple he recommended, his Nebbiolo, Chardonnay, and Sangiovese.
It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, but not.
It does, but it is completely dry.
I found them all exceptional with a unique blend of flavors. Norman says these tastings are used to not only educate, but to simply help visitors find a wine they like.
Don't let wine intimidate you. Wine can be very intimidating, especially with your critics and your wine connoisseurs. What's important is that you find something that you enjoy. Doesn't matter what is rated or what somebody says about it. If I serve you a wine that's 100.1 and you didn't like it, okay, what good is it, you know?
When you find that perfect wine, sit back and enjoy the surroundings. The vineyard stretches out over 12 acres of land and sits on property that spans 400 acres. There are animals and plenty of places to relax. Whether it's here on the Adirondack chairs or taking a sunset on the porch, take the time to discover this gorgeous setting that for Norman is his labor of love.
It's almost therapeutic when you're working in the vineyard sometimes, you know. I actually talk to the vines, believe it or not. No, I enjoy the winemaking very much.
There is plenty to do here at the beautiful Omni Homestead Resort in Bath County, but for those seeking a little bit more of a rush of excitement, there's a brand new zip line option that will definitely get your adrenaline going.
We love it. All the guys up here, every day, we get after it, laughing, goofing around, having a good time, making sure everyone's safe, making sure everyone gets that little adrenaline rush before they leave us. You're locked in.
All right. Corey Plecker is one of the many guides who will help you get that rush. His job is to make sure you're locked in, secure, and safe. Your job, well, just to have fun.
When you come here for the zip lining, you're going to get rigged up, you're going to get the whole spill. And all you're going to do is literally just hold on to your one yellow tether here, and you're just going to zip. We do the hand braking, we do everything for you. So the only thing you got to do is have fun, relax, enjoy this breeze, just cutting through your hair as you zip.
There are several different options for a great zip experience. You can choose to do the Mega Zip, which is a 1,300-foot zip with speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. Or you could do the Ridge Runner Tour, which includes 12 tours through the trees, which then take you to the Mega Zip.
You have all these different size zip lines, and then you got those sneaky rappels we throw in on you. We got some good options for people of all ages. The Ridge Runner, we keep you kind of close to the ground. You're flying close to the ground. The guests kind of feed off that. They get that adrenaline rush.
I chose to head on to the Ridge Runner Zip Tour, which takes you to the top of the ski area. Each of the zip lines takes you through the treetops and spans more than 4,000 feet, each one offering incredible views of the mountains and great challenges.
Oh my God.
I was told at some point I may be required to rappel down another zip line. However, I don't think that information registered, because when it came time to actually do the rappel, I was nearly paralyzed with fear.
Oh my God.
Seeing there was no way out, I managed to muster up enough courage to successfully rappel to the next zip. But let me tell you, I was scared. And once I completed it, I realized there was no reason to be. You literally hold on and they lower you down. It definitely looks scarier than it actually is.
All right, let's hoist her back up.
The last zip takes you on the Red Tail Racer, a 1,300-foot-long zip that takes you all the way down to the Mountain Lodge. An exhilarating ride you don't want to miss.
Awesome.
For an exhilarating experience for your palate, don't miss the culinary delights here at Jefferson's. The restaurant now has a new culinary team led by Executive Chef Severin Nunn, along with Executive Sous Chef John Ferguson and Executive Pastry Chef Lean Kim.
I came to the homestead to capture the local essence, the local flavors of Virginia. And that is our goal here. Right now we're getting lamb from local farms about 20 minutes down the road, along with our fresh produce. And we have on property our own aviary. We're producing our own honey, along with our own chef's garden. And I have local foragers that go out and collect wild morels and ramps, which you'll see later in some dishes that we're going to feature today.
Dishes like this Wagyu short ribs with smoked potatoes and essence of spring.
We use a Virginia Wagyu. It's raised about 3 hours from the Homestead Resort. And we have a small farm there. We're producing that. We're using the short rib. We cook that sous vide for 72 hours, and then we sear it off, and then we baste it. And a very rich Bordelaise jus with a little bit of roasted bone marrow in there for added richness. And we have a spring pea puree, which is from fresh peas from a farmer that's actually one of our employees at the resort that brings them in, and we go through them and we shell them from scratch, blanch it, and to a really bright puree that just captures the freshness of the local season.
Severin also plated another dish he features called Trio of Lamb, featuring braised lamb shank croquettes, a smoked leg of lamb, and pistachio-crusted lamb loin with wild ramps and fava bean ragu. All ingredients embody the freshness of the season.
Wild watercress that's grown in our springs right here on property. People don't understand that the freshness when you go pick a piece of watercress and you serve it 20 minutes later. And it's just, wow. The flavor and the intensity of the pepperness in the watercress, and then just a royal like floralness of the freshness. Those are just simple flavors that are found right here. And the morel mushrooms, again, I'll mention. You can find them in my backyard of my house. People bring them in all day long. What's local and wild and fresh, and capture those flavors here at the homestead.
For dessert, Lean creates dishes you won't see anywhere else. With creations like this Cherry Jubilee and Chocolate Trio, you'll be glad you made room for dessert. So when you book your next visit to the Omni Homestead Resort, be sure to make time to tap into your adventurous side. You'll be glad you did.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
My first stop on the trail was Peaks of Otter Winery. This farm, located in the Blue Ridge Mountains, is a 6th-generation family farm dating back to 1919. Danny Johnson runs the winery in Johnson's Orchards, an orchard where a wide variety of fruits are grown. He took me around to see just some of the thousands of fruit trees growing here on his property.
Oh yeah, that's tart.
A property that spans more than 200 acres. Everything from grapes, blackberries, blueberries, peaches, and cherries are all grown and used to produce wine. It's a recipe that's been passed down for generations.
Some of our fruits are mixed wines. We'll do a strawberry and apple wine together, and we use the same recipe that my great-grandmother used up on the mountain right across from the Peaks of Otter Lodge. She decided that the elderberries got ripe in the fall of the year, so she fermented the elderberries in apple juice. And it's a very unusual process. So we freeze all of our fruits now and wait until the fall of the year when we start pressing apples, and all our berries then are fermented with the apple juice then.
They get creative with their wines here. In fact, they have over 30 different varieties. Now, Danny, you have one that's called Kiss the Devil. What is this all about?
This is 30 different kinds of chili peppers, including the jalapeno, the habanero, and the ghost pepper.
In this?
In this, It's a little bit warm. You'll find out.
All right, here I go. Oh boy, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
And for that,
my mouth is on fire!
for that you get a sticker.
Thank you.
Isn't it good? It'll cure, it's good in.
My cheeks are burning right now. Am I red?
1 out of 7 people get the hiccups.
Come and try them for yourself, and then take the time to explore this gorgeous property. You can pick your own fruit and visit the farm animals that love visitors stopping by. Danny says it's this type of discovery that brings him the most joy, which is why he hosts thousands of kids each year for school field trips.
We want children to know where their food products come from. We think it's very important, and we think it's very important to the agricultural industry for children to know what people have to go through to get these food products. Not only do the children learn something, but if I'm not teaching the parents something, then I'm losing something then. So that's what we want to do. We want every parent to learn something too.
Sometimes you think you know a place only to discover something new. That's exactly what happened to me on my recent visit to Wytheville, when I discovered the fascinating history about a woman that many here refer to as the area's favorite daughter, First Lady Edith Bowling Wilson.
Hi, Hi there.
Shiloh Holly is the new executive director here at the Edith Bowling Wilson Birthplace Museum, a museum dedicated to this Wytheville native who was born and raised right here in this home on Main Street and eventually served as First Lady from 1915 to 1921.
Edith Bowling Wilson is the only Appalachian-born First Lady, so this is a really special place in Southwest Virginia where we present the Bowling family artifacts and the background on Edith Bowling Wilson and her journey from Wytheville to the White House.
On display on the first level of the museum, you'll find artifacts from various points of Edith Bowling Wilson's early life. From the crib where she was rocked as an infant, to the family Bible, which documents births and special occasions in the family's history. The second story, where the family lived, offers guests a unique glimpse into the family's life.
Upstairs we have the Bowling family home on view. There's a series of rooms with really unique historical features relating to the Bowling time period here. The rooms aren't restored. We're currently raising funds to do that, but the rooms really present a really fascinating history of the Bowling family and their time here.
Rooms like the summer porch where the family kept their 26 canaries. You can see many of them gathered here in this photograph taken of the family in this space. Visitors can also see the room where Wilson was believed to have been born.
We actually have documentation of the exact room where Edith Bowling Wilson was born, and it's this beautiful sunny room that originally served as her family's bedroom. The family lived here from 1866 to 1899. There's really great elements, and walking through you can see how the family really used the room. Another room that's my favorite is Edith Bowling Wilson's father's study. He was a lawyer and a judge, and there's original bookcases and floors there, and you can really get the sense of him working there while the 11 kids were running around and the wife was preparing the meals and taking care of the household.
A remarkable glimpse into one of our nation's most influential and historically significant women of the 20th century. For a relaxing afternoon full of great music, be sure to stop in at the Big Walker Lookout and Country Store. Each weekend, you'll find live music right here on the front porch of the store. On our visit, we enjoyed old-time music of Jim Floyd, who enjoys playing here every chance he gets.
Ron always books top people, really good musicians, and it's fun. It's very, very informal. People still do porch pickings, musicians get together at their homes and stuff and play together, and that's what this is like. It's not actually like a show. So once again, it's more interactive. You're right there with it.
An opportunity to enjoy the music while taking in the view down here or 100 feet up on top of Big Walker Lookout.
For those of you who are not fond of heights like me, the climb is not easy. However, if you can stomach it, make sure that you take the time to climb the 100 feet in the air, because once you get to the top, this is your beautiful 360-degree view.
This tower is a huge draw for visitors like these sisters who stopped in on their way to Texas.
We saw it online and we're like, you know what, why not? Let's try it out.
So what are your impressions so far?
It's great. It's fun. With the music? Yeah, with the music, the whole vibe is just really fun.
So do you know where you are?
Wytheville? I thought it was Wytheville at first, but
we were debating how to pronounce it in the car.
Wytheville.
Wytheville. Got it.
These girls aren't the only ones who have trouble with the name. It happened so much, Matt Temple decided to name his brand new shop Wiffle Pops, a play on the frequent mispronunciation of the town's name. He and his wife opened the store after making popsicles for fun one winter and selling them at the local farmers market. They were such a big hit, they decided to open this store right on Main Street.
We've gotten a lot of support from the community, a lot of families coming in, which really has excited us. There's not a lot of this type of things yet that can reach from, your very oldest of citizens to just the young families. We love to see the children running around with popsicles and faces covered with chocolate and gelato and the whole bit.
And the community here not only supports their local businesses, but they take care of their veterans as well. Each year during the Run for the Wall, schools and businesses alike will make sure those traveling through feel welcome.
The community really welcomed the riders, and they spend the night in with us, so that gives a lot of time for interaction. And the other special thing is they get to spend the morning with school children, and they don't get to see very many small kids as they come across the country. It's good for our community to see people and to know their stories. It's good for the riders to know that there's at least one community, and there's hundreds across the country, but Whitfield really cares about our veterans and what they've done and what the price they've paid for us to be free.
Welcoming people in a place that always gives you something new to discover here in Whitfield.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
Our next stop along the trail is White Rock Winery. Greg and Michelle bought this gorgeous property after Greg decided to retire. When looking for a place on the East Coast to be closer to family, they discovered this sprawling land with an already developed vineyard and knew it was the perfect spot.
What brought us specifically to this winery is I like big, bold, dark reds, so we have 5 varieties of French varietal grapes, which are the Vinifera, which are the Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and then 2 whites, Chardonnay and Pinot Gris. Those are, in my opinion, excellent grapes. And we do also have 2 hybrids, which were created out of Cornell University for the most part, which is a Chardonnay made from the Chardonnay and a Treminette that add a lot of character and a lot of local, flavor to the wine. So this one you're going to notice a little hint of citrus on the flavor that comes from the Treminette grape.
Greg let me taste some of his wines and I was really impressed with the quality. Come try them for yourself here in their tasting room. Inside, there's a windowed veranda where you can take in the view of the vineyard, or bring a picnic and enjoy a relaxing afternoon outside on the patio.
Another unique feature of this winery, beer. Greg has been brewing his own beer for years and decided to offer it up as an alternative for his guests. And he uses local ingredients when he can, like this porter has Mill Mountain coffee in it.
I've been brewing beer for about 22 years. And my heritage was German and Irish, and my wife was Belgian, and I spent a lot of time internationally drinking a lot of good beers. So once I bought the winery, I knew I wanted to bring beer into it. So I brewed 2 German ales, 1 Irish porter, and a couple of Belgian beers that are just really terrific. Handcrafted, small, 40-gallon batches. It's not a big beer operation, but it's good. It's an easy beer to drink, very refreshing.
Oh yeah, that's delicious.
Check out the porter or the amber ale derived from using local honey. Enjoy it while taking in a game of pool or watching your favorite team play on the flat screen TV.
I came here as a retired person to try to make this a home, not just for us, but for other people coming here. So I wanted to bring in the local aspect so people feel like if they're visiting here, they can say, oh goodness, I had a beer that had this local honey, or I had Mill Mountain coffee. We get a lot of people coming from Roanoke, and they say, you got Mill Mountain coffee in your beer? That's fantastic. So I like that. It kind of gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. So when you get somebody in and they taste a beer or they taste a wine, they go, wow, that's really good.
That is my favorite.
And we've made all our friends here through the winery.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
Whether it's bluegrass, rock and roll, funk, or something in between, you can find it all here in Martinsville, Henry County. Join me as I take you to the far corners of this region to explore the music of Martinsville.
The music here is everywhere, but you need to know where to find it. We start here at the Spencer Penn Center, which once served as a public school for elementary and high school students. It's now turned into an education and special events center, where on the second Friday of every month, you'll see different music acts. When we stopped by, the Shelton Brothers were performing, and with them, the Old Dominion Cloggers. A group of fun and talented dancers who will definitely get you up and tapping your feet. Down the street in Fielddale, you'll discover a place that may look like a gas station, but doesn't sell any. Instead, it's an antique store where you'll find this 1950s prototype Shell station called Fielddale Antiques.
Well, they'll see signs from the 20s and 30s. That's the old gas pumps from 1953, the old Shell gas signs, the old phone booth. Some people nowadays don't know what a phone booth is, piece like this, the bone crusher. It's made to make fertilizer and stuff.
Come and check out the treasures, and if you time your visit right, you may just get to witness one of their weekly jam sessions.
Well, anybody's welcome to play. Beginners, professional, whatever. We let anybody play. Most of us play by ear, so we're not professional musicians by any means, and we just enjoy having a good time and sitting around playing, singing, picking and grinning.
In uptown Martinsville, Mountain Jacks is bringing lots of local talent to the area. Owner Rick Martin created this place to be a fun atmosphere for young people, and in so doing has created a hot spot for those looking to showcase their music.
It just kind of developed. We did the open jams, we did live music on Friday, but then nobody had any place to play local just to come in and play. We had the PA system set up. Everybody's welcome. We give them a time slot, and all of a sudden you get a group of guys. Last night I think we had 12 guys playing last night. It's just an opportunity. And they don't get that opportunity anywhere else around here, that people could come in. We got the PA system set up. You just run your jack into the system and there you go.
Now other places are following suit. Here at the Daily Grind, they allow musicians like Ernesto Galindo to perform their original works.
And this weary soul has lost its hold and taken life from thee. There's so many great musicians around here that don't have a chance to show their own stuff, and now Martinsville and other areas alike are pushing that into the area, and I really, really like listening to all these really talented people and the diversity that comes with it. People are just super, super nice about everything that you do here compared to other parts of the country that I've been to. I mean, it's just really warm.
A reason owner Danny Heiss created the Songwriter Showcase, an open mic opportunity for artists to come together, network, create, and inspire.
It's kind of the whole idea of bringing only original music in and creating a comfortable atmosphere to perform new songs, opening it up to first-time artists, performers, and people who maybe don't have the following or repertoire. It's worked out really well so far. Almost magically, it's kind of blossomed into something much bigger.
From the unknown to the more popular bands, you'll find them coming to Reeves Theater. This theater was originally a playhouse that served for years as a first-run movie house. Now it's been transformed into a live music venue, and volunteers work around the clock to get the big acts to perform here.
Depending on what weekend you walk in, it might be a rock band or a funk band, or it might be a country band or a bluegrass band or something in between. It's different genres, just kind of based on which band is touring through this part of the country. It really has grown, and that's a big testament to the music and arts lovers in our community. It started small, but it has steadily grown, and now we've kind of got a built-in audience, which a lot of the nationally touring bands who've never been to Martinsville before really appreciate. Since we only have a couple shows a month, they'll come and trust us because they haven't seen bad music here before.
It's the reason the annual Rooster Walk has also gained popularity. Johnny, along with other volunteers, started the music festival as a way to honor two of their friends who passed away. Now, in its 9th year, it's been named as one of the top 5 rock festivals in the state.
We wanted to do something in their memory that they would have appreciated, but it's really turned into something a lot bigger than we ever imagined. To go from 500 to 5,000 in less than 10 years, it's pretty cool.
So be sure to discover this music mecca right here in Martinsville, Henry County.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
My next stop along the trail, Seven Doors Winery. New owner Jennifer Fazell bought this winery recently not to just simply grow grapes and sell wine, but also with a broader vision, focusing on honoring the land and producing organic and biodynamic wines. A huge undertaking that will take a while to accomplish.
I really want to honor the land that I've bought here and that we've cultivated, and I want to honor the earth in general and everything that I do. It's just the complete ecosystem of how I want to run my business consciously, the products that I want to have for sale, and the events here. I've got a small amount of grapes that I'm testing out different techniques on, and I also want to do some wildflower wines. I want to do wines that have never been done before.
Jennifer says the name of her winery, 7 Doors, honors the 7 chakras or energy points in your body. It's that energy and spiritual practices she wants to focus on when growing the grapes here. Using a technique called biodynamics, she'll use a more holistic approach to farming, which takes into consideration the sun, the stars, and phases of the moon when planting.
There's all varying degrees of biodynamics. I'm taking baby steps right now, so I'm doing, biodynamic preps. So, which means I'm taking small amounts of, they call them BDs, biodynamic preps, and I buy them from the Josephine Porter Institute, actually, which is out of Floyd, Virginia. You just take these biodynamic preps and you plant in certain time frames, and you add that sense of reverence, I guess, to the planting as well. You're planting with mindfulness and reverence and respect for the land and honor.
Until her wines are grown and complete, Jennifer has purchased organic wine from around the country to offer for wine tastings. But her focus, she says, will be hosting events. The grounds here are gorgeous and make for a perfect backdrop for weddings, bridal showers, or other private events. But she says her signature events have centered around the mind, body, and spirit.
Jennifer takes wine tasting to a whole new level with wine meditation, basically enjoying wine in a more mindful or spiritual way.
I want you to kind of cheers to the air, cheers to the wine and to the universe for giving you the abundance that you're experiencing.
I took part in one of her wine meditation sessions, which was essentially meditating while focusing on the wine and the arduous process of creating it.
It's like a 30-minute guided visualization where we pour the wine and they sit, and I tell them kind of how to hold the glass and what to think and how to sip and how to honor that and really tap into their intuition and tap into what the wine is telling them.
Honoring the land, the work, and the grapes to connect to the wine as more than just a drink.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
The Garth Newell Piano Quartet is known for their high-energy performances. The Music Center offers audiences an opportunity to experience informal, conversational, and interactive concerts year-round. But over a couple of weeks in the summer, the resident musicians turn into educators as they focus on mentoring the next generation of chamber musicians.
For several weeks during the summer months here at Garth Newell Music Center, the professional musicians who typically perform here turn from performer to mentor as they welcome students from around the country for the Emerging Artists Fellowship Program.
This is the flagship program of our organization. Without the fellowship program, Garth Newell would never have been born, and it would not exist.
The Garth Newell Music Center is a year-round chamber music venue located here in beautiful Bath County. It was created in 1973 when the owner of the property decided to donate it to 2 musicians.
At that time, this property had been sort of let go to seed. Mrs. Kendall was 81 years old, and she was looking to do something with this 114-acre property. They sat down together. Luke and Arlene were looking for a place to have a summer music festival for students. And during that conversation, they decided that, yeah, let's try that out. Let's see how that goes.
And from that discussion, the Garth Newell Music Center was born. Today, the center honors that humble beginning and its mission to nurture chamber musicians with the Emerging Artists Fellowship Program. Each year, musicians from around the world apply to this highly competitive program that's available only to a select few.
This year, our 11 students come from some of the best schools in this nation. We received, close to 100 applicants this year. and our quartet has to sift through those very carefully to come up with the final chosen 11 that get to be here for the month.
Looking for those students who have that something special.
You know it when you hear it, because you're moved. You know, music has the power to touch us internally in an incredibly intimate and special way. And you know when you hear that because you have that visceral response to what was just communicated to you. So yeah, you know it when you hear it. You feel it. How about that? You feel it when you hear it.
Once selected, students like Ben Osterhaus come here for 4 intense weeks of study. They're broken down into small chamber groups, trios, and quartets to rehearse and perform. But the main goal here is to hone their skills, elevating their performance level with lessons and coaching, not only from the Garth Newell resident performers, but also from renowned faculty and guest artists.
When you get on stage and you're playing to the whole hall, that's what's going to come through.
A rare opportunity that teaches them more than just performing notes on a page.
In chamber music, it really is about the conversation and the relationship that you forge with your fellow musicians. So what they're learning how to do is to take ownership of that. More than anything, I think what we're trying to do is help them learn that their intention is everything. It's not just about putting the fingers down in the right place. It really is about trying to say something, and that's what's happening. The magic that happens in those rehearsals is they start learning how to come to an agreement, because it's 3 or 4 very different people with very different musical ideas, and yet they have to come to an agreement about the thing that they want to say.
It's nice when you finally come to one consensus and you can convey a convincing message.
It's an experience they say they don't take lightly.
I feel really lucky to be here. You have, I don't know how many hours of rehearsal every single day. So it's really a time to get away and completely clear all the clutter out of your life and just focus on one thing.
Garth Newell means new home, and right from the start, I felt like I was in a place where I was going to be accepted, everyone was going to love me, and that I was going to grow.
And the resident musicians say seeing them improve and elevate their level of thinking and communication is a thrill.
Well, these kids are definitely career-bound musically. It seems every year they get better and better, and each year we say, wow, this is the best we've ever had, and they're so sweet, and they're so willing, and so eager to learn. So that makes the teaching a real joy.
Rehearsing chamber music is one of the most amazing things anybody can do. You learn so much about not only yourself, but about the other people that you're involved with. Blending sounds and learning when it's your opportunity to come out of the texture and to be a part of the texture. Chamber music is an incredible thing, and what we want to do at Garth Newell is just allow these young artists to grow in that regard.
Growing musically to connect with audiences on a more profound level.
I hope by the end I will have, kind of taken my playing up a notch just by being here and being in this environment.
We've learned our part individually, so it's kind of dead. And then when we're all together, the magic happens.
Yeah, I like that. That was perfect.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
Our next stop along the trail is Hickory Hill Winery. This gorgeous winery sits on the edge of Smith Mountain Lake. The tasting room and gift shop is located in a 1923 farm homestead, a family winery that really began for this family back in the 60s.
My dad was in the Air Force and was asked to inventory the Officers Club wine. And after he did that, he got really intrigued with all the wines that were there. And that got his interest going in wine. And it just kind of bloomed from there. He started making some wine, homemade wines, and it just kept growing and growing. And then the industry here in Virginia was growing in the probably late 70s, early 80s. And that really sparked his interest. And so he, by 84, planted grapes.
Today, Hickory Hill is a local favorite and has become a hugely successful business, producing over 15,000 bottles of wine a year. Hickory Hill is Smith Mountain Lake's oldest winery, established in 2001.
Donald and Wendy moved here about 12 years ago to help out and have since created many award-winning wines.
I had to apprentice with my mother-in-law in the vines for 7 years before she'd let me edit by myself. It's that crucial to the wine.
Crucial work growing grapes not traditionally grown here in Virginia.
Well, we grow Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, and Vidal Blanc. These are Vitis vinifera grapes that come out of Europe. These aren't native Virginia grapes. Those would be far easier to grow, but there's far smaller market for them. So we grow traditional Vitis vinifera that you've heard of. They're a challenge. They have to be grown. They don't grow naturally. We're not growing kudzu or Norton or Catawba grapes, which would be very easy to take care of. These require diligent work on the vines. The amount of canopy or the amount of leaves that are growing have to be maintained. The orientation of the sun has to be maintained. The amount of sunlight that strikes the grape clusters directly all has to be monitored and controlled.
It is mostly a Vidal Blanc. It has a touch of Chardonnay and lots of citrus notes to it.
Stop in at their tasting room and see the difference that hard work makes. I tried several of their award-winning wines, and you can tell each variety has been carefully blended to create a unique flavor perfect for any palate.
Yeah.
A tradition that's been perfected for over 30 years.
Yeah, that's lovely. Perfect for summer.
We want to help people learn what they like in a wine. Because we try to make the wine industry too complicated and too mysterious, and we'd like to try to demystify some of that and try to help them discover what it is they like.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
This is a great year for us, obviously, with 70 years behind us. If you look at any business anywhere, if you survive 70 years and you're still thriving, I think that's a heck of an accomplishment. So it's pretty special. It means a lot to us to be able to celebrate our 70th. We have a lot of big things planned this year, and it's exciting, so it's fun for everybody here.
Everyone always gets excited to come to Martinsville because of the history, and you know, even me looking around here and seeing some of the old photos of the racetrack, you know, a lot has changed, but not much has changed with the racetrack itself, and that's what I love about it. That's why these wins are a little bit more prestigious than the rest. It is a very difficult racetrack, and you see, you know, some of the sport's best never really figure out this racetrack, even late in their career. It's just a racetrack that takes a little bit different technique than anywhere we go, and if you don't grow up racing on this type of racetrack, you could struggle for many years.
You get an experience here you don't get anywhere else. Number one, if you just come and sit in the grandstand, you're going to get an experience that nobody else provides because you're so up close, right on top of the action. I don't care where you're sitting, you see everything. So that's number one. You know, you get to see the competitors because you're not that far away from them. I mean, you don't get to go down on an NFL field before the game. You don't get to go on an NBA court or things like that. But you can have that experience here at Martinsville.
Ever since I got here for the very first time, we had great success. You know, really, I followed some of the best on the racetrack, the Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnsons, those guys, once I got to the Cup Series, and kind of learned off of them. And really, we just hope to kind of carry that torch as those guys, you know, retire one by one. The Bridgeway clocks are obviously a staple in our sport. It's something that every driver wants, is one of those clocks. And the racetrack takes a lot of pride in those trophies, and I know as us drivers, you know, it took me a long time to get my first.
I think it really is the most coveted trophy in all of motorsports. You know, a lot of places give out some neat trophies, but this is something that is actually usable. It usually goes in a prominent place in the driver's home. It's not stuffed away in a corner or not put up on a shelf collecting dust.
I remember going to a local short track guy named Bugs Hairfield's house, a guy that I grew up watching for many, many years around Southside Speedway, and went to his house, and he had his clock sitting there in the living room. And I just remember thinking that it would be awesome to have my own.
The hometown feel that Martinsville gives to the fans that you really don't find anywhere else. You know, like I said, it's a little glimpse into the future and a glimpse back into our past. And that's the fine line that we try to tiptoe on, that we don't get too far one way or the other. And I think fans respect that, and I think that's what they like when they come here. It's more of a hometown feel.
I know when I'm, old and retired and, my kids are growing up, Martinsville is going to be a place that we continue to come to. It's just, this is a racing atmosphere, and when you come here, you're coming here to see great racing, and something that I look forward to coming to well after my career is over.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
Next stop on the Bedford Wine Trail, Ramulos Ridge Vineyards. Sandy and her husband Jim bought this gorgeous property near Smith Mountain Lake back in 2004 with the sole purpose to eventually open a winery. Living in North Carolina at the time, they'd spend weekends here, working the land until in 2013 they were ready to open their doors.
This literally was cow pasture when we bought this farm. So every post pounded, every hole for every vine augured, every mile of wire trellis strung, the three of us did. We haven't hired any work done. The grapes come in here when we harvest in the fall.
Sandy was always interested in making wine, learning the basics, and producing it at home.
I've been a winemaker for many, many years, kind of secretly in the basement, one of those winemakers. And then I actually went to school and got my winemaking degree from University of California, Davis. And we came to live here full-time, and the rest is history.
Sandy is one of the few female winemakers in the country, and her chemistry background definitely comes in handy. She produces over 18 tons of grapes every season, creating more than 9 varieties of wines.
An estate-grown winery is a winery and a winemaker that only makes wine from grapes grown here in my vineyard. I don't purchase any grapes, which is pretty unusual now. I tell people I'm part of a dying breed. Not many people are doing the estate grown thing anymore because, to be honest, it's a lot of hard work and a lot of farming. And so a lot of the newer wineries are just going to having a tasting room in a winery, and they would purchase their grapes.
Sandy showed me the grapes growing nicely on the vine this time of year. The weather, she says, will determine what she harvests and when.
The whites usually come in mid to late August, and it takes us about 1 month to pick all the whites.
She shared a couple of her favorites with me in her tasting room. Some, she says, pair nicely with the cigars they sell here as well. When you find a wine you like, buy a glass or a bottle and enjoy an afternoon sitting under the pavilion to take in the view. It is the perfect atmosphere for a romantic afternoon for just the two of you or a large event. Many couples have held their wedding ceremonies here. The view of the vineyard is the perfect backdrop. There is 1,200 square feet of event space with a master suite with a dressing room for brides to prepare for their special day.
It's just beautiful. And we always have a breeze here, which is nice for guests, but it's nice for the grapes too. You always want a lot of wind to keep the grapes and the vines dry. So moisture and humidity are the enemy of grapes. So it's always nice up here. We always get a nice breeze coming through up here.
The following portion of Daytime Blue Ridge is sponsored by
When I need to get away, I know I don't have to travel far to experience something new and different. Right where Interstate 81 and 77 come together is the town of Wytheville, a town that is offering visitors great entertainment, delicious food, and fascinating history. For a Broadway caliber show, look no further than the Wolfhard House Dinner Theater. Now playing the Buddy Holly story.
It's a biographical show, and of course it's a musical featuring all of his fantastic music. We've got a favorite of ours here at the Wolfhard House, and actor Nicholas Landmesser is playing Buddy Holly, and of course his crickets. All of the music is performed live as well, and we go all through his career. The second act, halfway through, it's just a giant concert with all three of those guys, their final concert, but it ends on a great note with all of that great music, Chantilly Lace, La Bamba, and of course all of Buddy's hits.
A show that has been called the world's most successful rock and roll musical that no doubt will have you singing along to these classic songs. The downtown area is always offering up a unique experience, and visitors will find that these historic buildings are coming alive again.
The revitalization efforts here in downtown Wytheville are ongoing, so each time you visit, you'll see something new. Today, I'm going to take you to a brand new eatery called Moon Dog Brick Oven that has wonderful pizza. Let's go.
Once you step inside, you'll see how this building has been loved. The building, which sits right on Main Street, once served as the Masonic Lodge, but in recent years sat empty and was falling into disrepair. But an extensive renovation brought this building back to its original glory. And inside, you'll find the modern updates that create a fun atmosphere.
We've got the flat screen TVs. Of course, we've got smiling faces as soon as you walk in the door. We order up front, you pick your table, we bring the food out to you. We play 80s music, so it's a fun environment. A lot of times when you walk in the door, you can hear one of us singing along with it, if not all of us. We have really good customers. We actually know some of their orders already when they call.
The menu includes everything from pizza and pasta to salads and subs. Delicious lunch and dinner options made from scratch each day. To learn a little bit of this region's history, head to one of the many museums that tell its story. Return to the year 1926 here at the Great Lakes to Florida Highway Museum. This little gas station sat along the country road that was once the main route from Ohio to Florida. Restored period gas pumps and other original artifacts are on display, as well as newspaper stories that chronicle this dangerous stretch of road. From its roads to its people, here at the Wytheville Training School, discover how this school was created to offer African Americans an education after the Civil War, serving as the center of education for African American students from Wythe County and beyond. It's a sacred place for the school alumni who offer their perspective on the importance of getting an education.
When you come to this building, you'll see photographs of the beginning of education in Wythe County. I want them to take away the struggle that we had as African Americans to be educated. We left here with an 8th or 9th grade education. We were getting 8 subjects here at George Wythe High School, which was the white school. They were getting something like 16 subjects. So I would want people to take away what we went through to get what meager education we had. We used it wisely to get where we are today.
So we look forward to coming to school because here we were taken care of, we were loved, and the teachers just embraced us and they gave us a lot of attention.
Stories and experiences that are fascinating to learn and offer up just some of the new discoveries waiting for you here in Wytheville.
And that is going to do it for our special edition of Daytime Blue Ridge. We hope you enjoyed our adventures and found something that interests you. And if you know of a place where we should visit next year, let me know about it. You can contact me on Facebook or email me at nfonts@wsls.com. Thanks so much for watching and have a great night.